This video is going to talk about the different types of numbers that you've seen. Rational numbers can be written as a ratio of two integers, a over b, where b cannot equal 0. Here are some examples of rational numbers plotted on a number line. Integers, the set of whole numbers and their opposites, are rational because you can write any integer as a ratio of that integer and 1. In other words, 1 can become the denominator. But not all rational numbers are integers. You can write every rational number in decimal form by dividing. Sometimes the decimal will terminate or end like the integers and fractions shown here. Sometimes a rational number can be written as a repeating decimal. Every rational number in decimal form either terminates or repeats. Sometimes you'll work with rational numbers in decimal form. Other times you'll work with rational numbers in the form of a fraction. Let's think about some fraction terminology. The numerator of a fraction is the number above the fraction bar, while the denominator of a fraction is the number below the fraction bar. Your first experience with numbers was the set of numbers called counting numbers, also known as natural numbers. These are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Notice there's a lot more numbers on this number line than the baby is not even aware of. But that's a start. As you grew, so did your knowledge of numbers. Soon you were able to grasp the idea of a number called 0. Now your knowledge of numbers included the whole numbers, which are counting numbers plus 0. In grade school, you learned that sometimes it was necessary to describe parts and pieces. You found that whole numbers were not adequate. You learned the need for fractions and decimals. Your understanding of numbers soon became expanded to include integers. Integers are a set of numbers that include whole numbers and their opposites. Opposites of whole numbers are useful when describing situations involving negative values, such as temperatures below 0. The assortment of numbers you have been accumulating over your lifetime is a set of numbers known as rational numbers. A rational number is any value that can be expressed as a ratio of two integers, a over b, where b is not equal to 0. All fractions can be written as ratios. Every fraction can be written in decimal form by dividing. Rational numbers can be positive and negative, but even if you could graph every rational number on this number line, there would still be some gaps. The numbers that fill in those gaps are irrational. Irrational numbers cannot be written as fractions. Irrational and rational numbers together make up the real numbers. Irrational numbers cannot be written in the form of a over b, where a and b are integers, and b cannot equal 0. Remember, we can never divide by 0. The decimal form of an irrational number never repeats and never ends. Learning to write, approximate, and order irrational numbers will be the focus of this topic. Your first experiences with this new set of numbers may seem weird, but keep in mind that you may have felt the same way when you were introduced to fractions as well. In time, you'll be used to using irrational numbers and their places on the real number line.